Hello and welcome to Market Psychology 101, where we look for value in the markets when there's fear and are cautious when there's greed. In today's video, we are going to be taking a look at Bitcoin mining stocks. Let's first jump into some indicators. Because this is a stock, it's important to recognize where the stock market fear and greed index is, and it's still just high up in the greed, not quite like crypto is right now. And on pie vesting, we are also still up into some pretty steady greed there as well. If we go over to, where is it? Here it is. If we go over to this chart right here, I wanted to share this with you guys. And all this is really saying is that Q4, especially of an election year, on average, there is typically a pump going into the inauguration. And from there, on average, at least for half the year, it can be down or sideways. I will say, though, kind of contradictory to that is that overall, the 6 most bullish months out of the year is from November to April and October to March. So do keep that in the back of your mind. But if we were to have a sideways downtime during the inauguration and maybe crypto runs towards the end of the year and the beginning of January, then you can point to that and look at that seasonality as to why. And just today, my God, crypto has jumped even higher into extreme greed, getting towards that 90 level. You can just take a look at over the past 30 days and how it was going sideways. And then this last weekend, man, we took off. And this is getting up to be the highest greed we've had since early March. There it is at 90. So still technically a lower high, if you even want to call it that. But when we zoom out, man, that's looking pretty good right there. So greed continues to go higher, and I'm sure it will keep doing so if the price of Bitcoin keeps going up as well. Of course, as we talk about any Bitcoin mining stocks or altcoins, I view them the same way because they pump at the same time and can do many multiples of gains if you get in the right ones. And something to just keep an eye on is Bitcoin dominance. I talk about that in my videos. Any new viewers, basically what Bitcoin dominance means is right now, if we were to take a look at a chart for Bitcoin dominance and you see 61%, that means that 61% of all money in crypto is in Bitcoin. And when that percent starts to drop off and rotate, that's when you can see some of these mining stocks and altcoins really shoot up. As far as the alt season index, high or low, but maybe there's some areas for certain alts, certain miners to still go up. And subscribe if you want to hear about any other cyclical or seasonality, macro indicators as far as crypto. That's what you all seem to like the most. So let's jump into it. We're going to take a look at Bitcoin. I'm going to show you one other chart, and then we are going to get into the mining stock. So Bitcoin, it's going up, and it's headed up. If we take a look in the last 5 days, it's had a high pretty close to, you can see on the right, around 93,300. And as we start moving on up through the different time frames, you can see, well, this is a good one, 30-minute time frame, still bullish. And when we go to the daily, I think this is a good one to look at right here. You can see we've been talking about the convergence of all these trend lines here. We've had the trend line since the bottom that Bitcoin's been bouncing off of, riding up of, and you can see even bouncing up off of right here and shot right up through this. So this trend line just continues to go this way. Now we're above it. We have the double top trend line from 2021 meeting out here as well. And then we have that other trend line. Well, it's not really a trend line, but it's part of our fib. That's the macro 1618. Do not be surprised if Bitcoin hits 100K. For one, that's a psychological level, but two, the 1618 in a lot of scenarios or a lot of situations, other stocks that can provide a decent bit of profit taking and resistance. So don't be surprised if you see a little bit of sideways action here, especially with, as I showed you guys that post-election pump chart earlier where we go sideways into or after the inauguration. If something like that were to happen, it wouldn't shock me because one, by the time we get up to this 100K area, it would probably be close to that time. So I think that could play into the seasonality of it a bit. Something I just want you guys to keep in the back of your mind, and that is the Tether dominance chart right here. And Tether, just like Bitcoin dominance, Tether's a stable coin. It always retains a value of 1. So if you want to be risk off, you're going to sell your crypto, your Bitcoin, and convert it to Tether so you retain its value. Now, there's been this trend line that ever since, let's move to the weekly, that ever since 2017, that every local top has run into this trend line. So let me scroll down here. This was the 2017 top. This was the 2019 mid-cycle top, the top before COVID. Let me go over here. So these are tops I'm talking about. 2017 top, mid-cycle top, top before COVID. I'll show you the double tops as well as the most recent March top. That was on here as well. So double top, okay. 2021 most recent March top, and now we are here again. So no, it's not the most perfect trend line, and you can even see that it's gotten somewhat underneath it with a wick. But the reason I bring this up right now is this is very likely to be a local top. And if we're comparing this to last cycle, you guys will remember that after the mid-cycle top, there was the top before that large COVID dump. So if anything was to be similar to this time around, let's say Bitcoin dominance, it's going to keep going up 62 to 65%, whatever. And Bitcoin makes that 100K top like I talked about by the end of the year, okay, whatever. And we go down and sideways. Maybe there is a bit of a corrective phase for a while before we start to get truly into alt season and the tops. Now, is it possible that Bitcoin dominance just starts to tank and alts can explode a few months from now? Sure, anything's possible. But just keep in the back of your mind, guys, that if you are looking at getting into crypto now, you are taking a big risk because the charts are showing us that we are at a or very close to a local top. This can stay in the trend line for a few weeks, but it's likely to see some corrective behavior soon. I know you guys are waiting for Bitcoin mining stock analysis. We're going to get into it now, but I can't talk about the mining stocks without really highlighting that and emphasizing do be careful. So let's get into the miners. And here we're going to start off with Mara. You can see I have the fib drawn from the high to the low. And for any of you new viewers, I like to take a look at technicals that you guys can understand and even do yourself. And so when we're taking a Fibonacci retracement analysis, here I draw from the most prior macro high to low. If your drawing moves up, you can start from the bottom, go from low to high. We have on the moving averages, and as you guys saw, we're looking at the 20, 50, 100, and 200. The 20 is the light red line. The orange is the 50, light blue 100, dark blue 200, okay? We can draw trend lines. I'm even going to add on, there's a couple other indicators I look at. There's the buy-sell signal. Let's just do that one for now. We can take a look at the RSI in a second. So on the weekly, we are seeing that all these moving averages and the 0.5 fib, and we had a buy signal. This thing was ready to rocket up. And not only did it rocket up through that trend line, but you can see that it wicked above the 618. Now, it didn't close above there, and where it closes is important. And I will even say, if we zoom out here, yeah, you know, we're drawing this trend line from the very top right here, but because of these other wicks, even if you look at that, you can see that these high wicks that it came right back up to it, if we just adjusted it. Now, you can do that sometimes. I'm not trying to move the goalposts or anything, but you can see right here we still have resistance at the 618, and if we draw this line right here, you can see it's still technically a lower high. So I know there's a lot to be excited about with this move, and if you're sad you missed it, now's the time. I would say take a deep breath, develop your plan, your strategy, sandbox it, and be patient so you can look for those opportunities when fear enters back into the market. We still have to break above this trend line, and we have to start closing above the 618. And first of all, start getting above here, the $27 mark, start making higher highs, not lower highs, which we're still technically doing. So great move, but we've been chopping between these fibs for a while. So what I would like to see at minimum is Mara to start closing and hanging on the 618. But if you're sad and you missed it and it comes back down to these levels around the $17 level, I'd say that's a good area of entry. let's get into Riot. And with the pumps going on this weekend, guys, I hope you all making good money and, taking profits where it makes sense. Riot, look at this. We're still in this channel. We drew this channel a while ago. We hit the upper end of it, but again, it's just a lower high, not even to the 0.5 fib yet. So Riot, great move up here. And if you're sad you missed Riot, I'd say where you can start looking for discounts is right at this 382 fib level, the orange line right there, around 11 bucks. So if Riot comes back down to 11 bucks, to me, that's the beginning of good discount dollar cost average range territory. Of course, down here, even better. But for any of you new to my channel, I really try to emphasize the market psychology portion of it. And one of the things is I know many of you new viewers, you're only watching now because the market's doing well. If you want to be successful long term, you're going to need to correct that behavior, because if you're only paying attention and buying when the market's doing well, you're usually not buying at discounts. When retail's coming in, it's usually at local tops. So you need to pay attention and make your list, have a plan. And if it's just having a list of 5 stocks or cryptos, just check those for a minute or two every week and see, is it at a discount? Is it at one of these moving averages? Is it at one of the fibs? Do you have a buy signal on from one of the indicators? And I'll show you what that is again. I have a few of them that I use. That's the one right there. But right now you're buying at a peak. And it's not to say it can't go up, but there's a lot to show resistance here. So if you're going to buy in here at $11 and you're going to be patient and wait, and you like it enough to buy in there, well, what are you going to do if it goes down lower? And my argument is, if you ever buy something here or you like it enough to buy it with your hard-earned money, then you need to love it when you're buying it here and can get it at more of a discount. Of course, do yourself a favor, set a strict budget that you will strictly adhere to and not overextend yourself, so you're not investing more than you can afford to lose. For any of you regular viewers, I do apologize for just adding on a couple extra minutes to say this, but I really do care about you guys not losing your hard-earned money. I'm investing right there with you, and I want to give it. I'm not giving any financial advice, but anything I say, I do want to say in a very empathetic way to your situation, because I don't know what your situations are. As far as Clean Spark, you can see that it is above the moving averages, is having a great move above the 618. I would like to see it. So you see how it was accumulating, going sideways here, and we draw a trend line. We don't have to. It's just running a little resistance there. I would like to see Clean Spark re-challenge that 786 fib at 21.5 bucks and see if we can get weekly candle bodies closing above that. So good move right here. Do not be shocked or surprised if we did have any sort of negativity that we start getting down to this fib. And at the 618 fib at around the high $12 mark to this trend line that Clean Spark's been in love with at around 10 bucks or whenever it runs into it, that's my discounted area here. So I'm not buying any of these right now. The time to buy was back here, and we were talking about this trend line, fib. We had the buy signal. I'll show you guys just one more indicator I look at, and that's on the weekly time frame, the stochastic RSI. I wait for this to flip positive and start getting in the shaded area, because you can see it can flip positive but still fall lower. So flipping positive, that can be a good dollar cost average strategy itself. But look, we're up here. It might stay up here and go higher, but I am not buying these mining stocks right now. I'm not buying at local peaks. The time to buy was back here when you had the chances. So, one of the best, easiest things you can do is just, again, have your list and pay attention. Check your half a dozen, whatever, cryptos or stocks just for a couple minutes. See if it's at a good discount. If you're only checking when the news is positive, you're asking to get wrecked. And the Wall Street, they'll do it to you. As far as Cypher getting back up to 786 fib, would like to see it start closing with a whole candle above the 786 and seeing what it does at the channel top here. So we have that parallel channel reaching up to like the low mid $9 area, but this may show some resistance and come back down. So if Cypher is something you like and it comes back down to the mid to high $3 mark, probably a good area to get some dollar cost averaging in. But yeah, the last area we were buying was down here at this channel and below this fib. So yeah, if you were able to get it between the $3 mark, I was able to get some cipher down here. Feeling pretty good about that right now. So next, let's move on to TeraWolf. And comment below, which mining stocks do you like? Or if there's any Bitcoin mining stocks or altcoins on Coinbase, Robinhood you'd like for me to talk about, let me know. TeraWolf, this is kind of funny, guys. So we're seeing a story. A lot of these miners, yes, they pumped, but where did they pump to? A lot of them have pumped to key resistances. So I'm not fully convinced that, or I'm not even partially convinced that we're going to have alt season soon. I do need to see a bit more before I start jumping on that bandwagon, especially since Bitcoin Diamond is still hot. But a lot of these are at areas where there could be major resistance. So I would not be buying in right now. Again, I don't know if these are going to pump even more. I would be very suspect. And, here's just a simple question to ask yourself when buying any stock or crypto. In the last year, is it within the range of its high or low? And if you're at an all-time high or the high within the last year, not the smartest time to buy. You will have to hold even longer in order to most likely see some good profits. So right here, if it does come back down, you can see we have the 200-week moving average. We have a good positive cross, the 50 above the 100. And by the time we get the 50 to the 200, that'll be really nice. But if we did see Wolf come back down to $5, that'd be great. We've been talking about Wolf since down here. I know some of you guys have 5x or 3x your money in TeraWolf, and start making a plan. None of us know how high these are going to go. We can take a look at these fib levels, and I'll just show you guys this real quick. After you draw a fib from the high to the low, what you can do is take your fib, and this is a way to look for price targets. Take it off log scale, look for some of these extensions, okay? Now, if you're looking for any of these price targets, maybe you're like, oh my God, we could do a 20x from here to this 3618 level at 156. It's somewhere around a 20x and some change, okay? That's fine and good. You can say that, but then you have to consider, okay, what's the market cap? If we're going to do a 20x, you're talking about this having, 20 times 28, a $56 billion market cap. Could that happen? Sure. Is that likely? It gets less and less likely as you get above the $30 billion range. So last cycle in 2021, the market cap range for the top miners was $20 to $30 billion. So if we go 30 to 50 billion, great. But do set your price targets that you will stick to in times of peak euphoria. Again, you have to be a market psychologist. You have to think with your frontal lobe, not your limbic system. And don't keep holding on. Have price targets. Have a plan of how much you will take profits from. Because if you don't, what will happen is you'll be left holding the bag. And when these start to fall, they can fall very fast. So do try to sell into these pumps and into those price targets. Do yourself a favor. Let me start flying through these a little bit faster. Bit Digital, you can see right here, pretty decent move above the 0.5 fib. That's pretty bullish as far as, this is a higher high. That's great. We could probably draw a channel, and I'll show you guys how to do that. So you go to your trend line tool, draw your channel, and we are going to try, you draw it like you're doing a trend line, okay? And then we go down, and you could do it here. I'll go here because I'm trying to connect these data points here, and maybe this was just a little bit of a fake out, if you will. So if we do go higher and don't quite reach the 618 at around 681, funny enough, then you could look for a price around 618. So the 618, again, we're thinking about this as a percentage, 78.6%, 61.8%. That's what that means. So I would look for some resistance here. And if it does come back down, the discounted levels are down here, $2.50 to $4. And if you were to put in any amount increasingly accordingly, make your own plans. Let's go over to Bit Farms. But yeah, comment below which of these mining stocks do you like. Have any of you made some really good profits? I've been seeing you guys comment for a while now on some of these that you have been buying. And I hope to hear some good stories of all you hard workers making profits, and especially with that patience paying off. So please feel free to share those stories and build in a positive community here. So we're going to celebrate each other's successes and help one another. Bit Farms, you can see, had a good move off this 0.5 fib, had a couple buy signals. We talked about this one, how still in that discount range, had a move up. You can see the trend line and the 618 didn't quite get there, and we do have lower highs. So we are contending with a little bit of a trend line here. If we just start drawing this down, okay, connecting it. So it did invalidate these two a little bit. So yeah, we can just delete that. Really doesn't matter right now too much. But we'd like to see what it does up here. Again, across the board, we're just seeing a lot of convergence of key resistances. So if Bitcoin is to keep moving up towards 100K, maybe some of these get to their next area of resistance, and then we'll see. But don't be surprised if some of them do come back down to earth a little bit, or if we see big moves up, that it creates a new higher low base to stay on. So that's what I'm hoping to see in some of these. IREN, we've been talking about this one following the ascending trend line for a while, came up off of it, still has to show that it can hang, stay and move above this 786 fib here at around the high 13s. If not, it's been loving this trend line, and if it comes back down to it, whenever it would, maybe it'll be at like the mid $9 mark. That'd be an area to look for some discounts starting there and lower. Next, let's go to Core Scientific. Core Scientific, for being a new IPO mining stock, you can see last high we drew, it keeps getting above it. For being a new mining stock, it does have one of the highest, I think it has a top 5 or top 3 market cap as far as all the mining stocks. So I don't buy brand new altcoins or new IPOs because it's really hard to have a competitive advantage in those. The only time I've ever bought something, and this works out for me maybe half the time, where it's turned positive in the near term. Usually I've seen things fall in the near term. If you're buying an IPO within the first 2 years, usually these things can fall off a cliff. So do be careful with these. If you don't have that competitive advantage with the charts, which we don't, then you need to really believe in and trust the research. And with that being said, a lot of the crypto research that you'll find out there, it's all sunshines, ponies, rainbows, unicorns. Like they're just promising you the moon. So do try to read through the BS. Here as market psychologists, we're not going to give in to any of that cult-ish thinking, people who just believe everything for their special baby crypto project. You do need to be able to question and look at the criticisms constructively of whatever you are looking to buy. So make yourself a list, 3 pros, 3 cons, take some time away, go for a walk, meditate, come back to it a day or 2 later and be like, try to look at it fairly. Okay, do I really like this? Or if the cons outweigh the pros, why is that? Look at one of the nice things I like about the mining stocks. You can take a look at their balance sheets, go on Market Watch and look at these balance sheets. Do the assets outweigh the liabilities? Is that a positive ratio? I'll start getting back into doing that more as we've done before. We'll do 2 more, BitDeer and Hive. BitDeer, good move up. It's nice to see us make a little higher high from here, but we still have these lower highs from these marks. So next, you want to see BitDeer get to its former all-time high area around $14.60. You want to see it get there, and then see what happens. But don't be surprised to see it come back down. Compared to last time, you see how it claimed the 786, had to close above it, albeit a doji candle, and then came back down. We want to see some better strength. So if it is to come back down, that we're closing here, or at the very least, you don't want to see it fall under the 618 here in the $8 mark. So even if it came down there in the future discount areas and you like BitDeer, I'd say that's not a bad area. And then Hive, we'll finish it up with Hive. Digital Technologies, lower highs still. We are above the 200. But again, guys, what I'm seeing here as we see these lower highs, it looks like someone's trying to swim and stay afloat and that they're slowly drowning. So yes, this move is great, but you want to see it get some positive stability and start moving in a good direction, not these lower highs. And you want to see some candle bodies closing and staying above these trend lines, or sorry, these moving averages or these fibs. That's what you're looking for. And again, I'm not buying any of these right now. The time to buy signals, the fibs, the moving averages, the stochastic RSI flipping positive. Those are simple ways I look at when to buy. That's just my strategy. It doesn't have to be yours. But when we see these moves extended for it, let's take a look at these. We had 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so we moved up for a month. Really solid this first time here. There was about 1, 2, 3, 4 months up, or 4 weeks up. Sorry, really solid. So about a month here. We've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're about in the same range as these last two moves that happened in the summer of 2023 and the move in Q4 of last year. So, when I take a look at that and see, okay, these very bullish moves last a month or so, and we're around that area, tether dominance, as I showed you, is hitting that local top area. These are just all the reasons for me not to be buying right now. And again, I'm not saying that any of these can't go up a little further. Okay, that's great. But I'm not seeing enough from the Bitcoin dominance chart to say alt season's going to start. We're going to see that rotation into miners and and alts, and these are just going to explode. I'm not seeing that yet, but again, I don't know what's going to happen. You have to, if you're buying anything right now, just know you're taking a very large gamble. You're not taking the patient approach. And here, that's what I like to preach about. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And for all of you people who have been doing your homework, being a good market psychologist and being patient, buying those levels, dollar cost averaging in, whatever your plan is, I hope you're making some good profits. And just know it isn't truly a profit until you sell. So do make sure you have a plan. We've been talking about our plan for times like this, that you need to have a plan in times of extreme greed, because in extreme greed, it's hard to think straight. And we hope to see these gains go up forever. As you know, that is not the case with crypto. So do be mindful of that. If you don't have a plan now, don't rush into making one. Make sure that it is well thought out and that you are prepared for a variety of outcomes or circumstances, because things in the market usually don't go the way that we predict or want them to. And as I like to say, predictions don't matter. Making money is what matters. So have a strategy that will be right for you, even when you are wrong. And I am wrong plenty of times. Guys, thank you so much for watching the video. Hope you are all doing well. Take care.